What if the next time you're pulled aside for a random airport search, it isn't random at all? And it hasn't been for years. Picture this. You're standing in line at security, shoes half off, boarding pass in hand, trying to look calm even though your heart is beating a little faster than normal. And then an officer smiles politely and says, "Sir, you've been selected for additional screening." Random. That's the word they use. It sounds harmless, neutral, fair. But is it? Or is something else happening behind the scenes, something quiet, calculated, invisible? Welcome back to Golden Age Travel Tips, because today we're talking about a truth most travelers never stop to question: why random searches aren't actually random anymore. Now, I'm not here to scare you. I've been pulled aside. I've watched older couples get flagged while college kids breeze through. I've seen frequent flyers with spotless records get extra screening 3 trips in a row. That's not luck. That's a pattern. And patterns don't happen by accident. Airports today are not just buildings with planes attached. They're data hubs, massive humming systems of algorithms, behavioral analysis, software, biometric scanners, and passenger profiling tools that quietly assess you long before you step into the security line. When you book a ticket, information starts moving. Your name, your travel history, how far in advance you booked, whether you paid cash or card, one-way or round trip, domestic or international. The system builds a risk profile, not a dramatic one, just a score. Quiet, invisible. And that score can influence whether you get that random tap on the shoulder. Years ago, randomness was literal. A blinking light, a printed SSSS on a boarding pass, a percentage-based selection system. But now, it's layered. Advanced passenger information systems feed into government databases. In the United States, programs connected to agencies like the Transportation Security Administration, cross-reference watch lists, travel frequency, and even behavioral indicators captured at the checkpoint. Did you hesitate when answering a question? Did you avoid eye contact? Did you appear unusually tense? Cameras with behavioral analytics don't just record footage. They flag micro-movement subtle shifts most humans wouldn't notice. That's not science fiction. That's modern aviation security. And here's where it gets interesting, especially for our golden age travelers. If you're over 60, you might assume you're invisible to this system. I'm retired. I travel for fun. Why would I be flagged? But the system doesn't think emotionally. It thinks statistically. Sudden travel patterns like flying internationally after years of domestic trip scan raise flags. Booking last minute because of a family emergency. That shifts your risk score. Traveling alone after decades of flying with a spouse? That's a deviation. And deviations matter. The machine notices changes. It loves consistency. When you break your own pattern, even for completely innocent reasons, you might become random. I once spoke to a retired teacher at an airport cafe. She'd deflown the same route every winter for 10 years to visit her grandchildren. Never once searched. Then, one year, she booked a one-way ticket instead of round trip because she wasn't sure how long she'd stay. She was pulled aside both ways. Coincidence? Maybe, but when you understand how predictive systems work, you start to see how small changes ripple outward. Airlines and security agencies use predictive modeling similar to what credit card companies use to detect fraud. If your spending suddenly spikes in another state, your card gets flagged, not because you did something wrong, but because your pattern changed. Airports operate on similar logic. They're not accusing you. They're measuring you quietly, constantly. And here's something most YouTube travel channels don't talk about. Your body language is data now. In certain international hubs, security uses AI-assisted camera systems to analyze movement, flow, and stress indicators in crowds. Are you walking faster than average? Slower? Did you pause when you saw an officer? Again, none of these alone mean anything, but layered together, they create probability. Probability becomes selection. Selection becomes random. The word random survives because it feels fair. It keeps things calm, but the reality is more nuanced. Now, let's be honest. Some searches are still truly random. There are still percentage-based triggers built into systems to prevent bias and ensure unpredictability. That's important for security integrity, but the proportion has shifted. The majority of secondary screenings are influenced by data signals most travelers don't even realize they're sending. And no, this isn't about paranoia. It's about awareness. Because once you understand how the system works, you travel smarter. For example, consistency helps. booking round-trip tickets when possible, using trusted traveler programs like those managed by agencies such as the Transportation Security Administration can reduce unpredictability because keeping your name consistent across bookings' middle initials matter more than you think. Avoiding last-minute cash purchases for international one-way flights unless absolutely necessary. Small details, big impact. Another overlooked factor, group dynamics. If you're traveling with someone who has a complex travel history or prior flagging, your proximity can increase the odds of additional screening. It's not guilt by association in a dramatic sense. It's statistical clustering. Systems evaluate group reservations. Again, not always, but often enough to matter. And let's talk about something uncomfortable for a second: appearance bias versus algorithmic bias. Many older travelers assume profiling is purely visual. In reality, modern systems lean more heavily on data than on human snap judgments, though human discretion still plays a role. That means the idea of looking suspicious is less about fashion or age and more about anomalies in your travel behavior. However, if an officer manually observes something unusual, they can override the system, so it's layered. Human plus machine. Probability plus discretion. It's complex, and complexity hides behind the word random. So why does this matter for you, especially if you're part of the Golden Age community? Because understanding the system removes fear. If you're selected, it's not personal. It's not a judgment of character. It's a risk model, doing what risk models do: flagging. And sometimes, yes, it's just the percentage button lighting up. But here's the part that should make you lean in. As biometric identification expands facial recognition at boarding gates, digital IDs, automated passport control, the concept of randomness shrinks even more. Your face becomes your boarding pass. Your travel timeline becomes a continuous thread. The system learns you. The more it learns, the less random the selections become. That doesn't mean you're being targeted. It means the era of pure chance is fading. We're entering an era of predictive security, quiet, efficient, data-driven, and mostly invisible. So what can you do? First, stay calm during screenings. Behavioral systems can amplify visible stress. Take slow breaths. Move naturally. Second, double-check booking details. Consistency in your name and travel patterns reduces anomalies. Third, consider enrolling in trusted traveler programs if you qualify. Pre-screening lowers your risk profile significantly. Fourth, if you're traveling for unusual reasons, extended stays, one-way tickets carry clear documentation. Not because you're guilty, but because clarity speeds everything up. Finally, don't let fear steal your joy of travel. Airports have evolved, yes, but so have we. Knowledge is power. And when you understand that random is often just a softer word for data-informed, you stop taking it personally. You walk through security with confidence instead of confusion. And that changes everything. So the next time you hear the word random echo across the checkpoint, ask yourself quietly, is it luck or is it math? Because in today's world, math usually wins. And if this opened your eyes even a little, make sure you subscribe to Golden Age Travel Tips, because we're just getting started uncovering the hidden systems shaping modern travel. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever been selected for a random search more than once? Drop your experience in the comments. Let's compare notes. And my suggestion for you before your next trip is simple. Travel consistently, travel prepared, and travel informed, because the smartest traveler in the airport isn't the fastest one in line. It's the one who understands the system.